I need to know, where do the Gungans... Hey everyone, welcome back to Fromania, and welcome to one of the fanciest recording studios you will ever see on YouTube. Our living room. We are sitting at our dining room table, and you're looking at our living room because there are no fancy green screens here. What you see is what you get in real life. No fancy production yet. No fancy green screens yet. No fancy lighting yet. But we're doing our best to reboot our channel and bring you some of the best LEGO content on the internet. And we couldn't be bringing you the best LEGO content on the internet if we didn't get this question answered from Micah. Micah, I need to know where the Gungans store their fruit preserves.
I don't even know if they have fruit.
In Jar Jars. That's right. Today, we are reviewing this. This is the LEGO Star Wars Jar Jar Binks Submarine set. This set came out in 2012. Micah, that meant when this set was released, you were probably still in diapers.
I was in a diaper when I was 4?
Shh! Don't let anyone... You just admitted to the internet you were in a diaper?
You set me up.
Enough of that. This LEGO set here, this Star Wars Gungan submarine, Jar Jar Binks submarine, was released in 2012. Do you know how many pieces this set is?
It was like in the 450 range, I know.
I want to say that this set was 456 pieces, if I'm not mistaken. After further review from the judges, this set was actually 465 pieces. That was my number dyslexia coming back and biting me. Micah, do you know the retail value of this when it came out?
Oh, $70, which translates to $95 in 2012, so it was very overpriced.
You know your stuff. You know your stuff. This came out at $70, $69.99 if we want to be technical, which would have been, I think, 49 or 59 pounds. I don't know how many pence. I don't know any of that stuff. If you're coming for the fancy conversion stuff, you came to the wrong place. So it was around a 15-cent per piece set when it released. Do you know what the estimated value of is this set now?
Well, the Bricklink average is low because a lot of people sell it missing Queen Amidala. I'd say you're gonna be worth about $250 to $300 open and upwards of $400 sealed.
That is a lot of money sitting here. In fact, we're trying to figure out how to pay for groceries this month. So watch this one as you sleep tonight, okay. Micah. You picked up this set pretty recently.
Yep.
How long have you had this set?
Just over a month now.
Just over a month. What led you to want this? Because Jar Jar Binks, let's be real, he's not the most popular, not the most loved, not the most endearing Star Wars figure. Yet you chose to chase down his Gungan sub. What led you to want this set?
First of all, Meesa like him, though.
Meesa like him, too.
And second of all, the main draw of the set to me was the Queen Amidala figure. But when you look at the pricing, you get the whole set for $250 to $300, and just her is about $200 range, so it made more sense to get a whole set.
So you were really after the Queen Amidala figure because you have been building your Star Wars minifig collection, and Queen Amidala was one that you wanted to land in this. And as you were looking at pricing, you're like, if I'm going to pay that for the Queen, I might as well go all in on the set. And you were fortunate enough to land one that came with a box.
Yes, and the instructions.
So the box you got was in great shape for a used
it's
set.
incredible.
I mean, it was really, really well done. There was a little scotch tape on it, but beggars can't be choosers.
And I just noticed there's a barcode stickered onto it. So it must have been sold at like a second-hand store at some point.
All right. It's now in a third-hand store. The instruction books were great as well. I mean, they don't look like they're torn. No pages falling out. So really good find on that. Now, I am going to rat you out a little bit here, and I'm going to tell a story. So, this set arrives. Micah is super excited to break into it and check it out. As he's unboxing the set, he realizes a couple of the bags that the seller said were sealed were actually open. So there were some loose bits bouncing around in the box that shouldn't have been bouncing around in the box. At this point, collector Micah, who has invested his own money into this thing, and you heard how much it's worth, is a little unsettled, right? Because he doesn't want the queen to be messed up, and he doesn't want the pieces to be messed up or scratched. So as he is now a bit frazzled, a bit more rushed, he finds one of the little baggies that has part of Queen Amidala in it.
The hair.
The hair, to be precise. A rubbery piece. As he's doing this, he is holding a pocket knife, one that I gave him for Christmas one year.
So it's your fault, basically.
Getting ahead of me here. As he's cutting the bag, he decides it would be better to cut into his flesh and lays his finger open. I now hear the yelling in the living room and walk out to find a murder scene of blood everywhere. All Micah is concerned with at this point is getting back to his Lego.
Yeah, I wanted a Band-Aid.
He wanted a Band-Aid to make sure that he could get back to his Lego and everything would be fine. Band-Aids is not where this story ends, though. He wound up with how many stitches?
3.
In your finger? 3 stitches in his finger to stitch it back up. All for this. He paid for this set in blood.
Sweat and tears.
All the above. But it's here now. You now have the Gungan Submarine.
And while I was sitting in the hospital, I was scared I had scratched up the hairpiece with my knife.
So now that you've got the set, tell me some of the highlights of it. What are some of the things that you like about this set?
One of the highlights of the actual set is it's pretty practical. Lots of sets, they don't give you places to put all the accessories. They include clips for both of the lightsabers in here, and they even thought it had enough to add a spot for the capes in here, so you can sit them in here. And I also like the, obviously the Queen Amidala, and the Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon both came with exclusive heads with the little breathing masks they put on.
And I love, as we were setting it up, you showed me this. In the wings, would these be considered wings on a submarine?
I don't think it'd be considered.
And it's flippers. There's some little boxes as well. Little storage boxes that slide into each flipper, fin. What are we going to go with here? Flippers,
I feel
fins?
like they're just the sides of it. I don't know if they would have any.
It's a pretty durable set.
Yeah.
Like, it's solid in one piece. I would assume that these little twisties on the end... What's the official term for these?
I do not know.
Okay, we have now officially named these the twisties.
Yeah.
So all of you AFOLs out there and all of you Lego experts out there can ridicule us in the comments for calling them the twisties. But I think Twisty is a fun name.
I don't know what the Star Wars name is.
And you also yourself created this little stand that you've made that displays your minifigs on it. And it has the sub just standing here. Had you gotten this in 2012, do you feel that this set would have been worth the value, worth the $70 investment?
Unless you're a diehard Queen Amidala fan and you had to have that.
Wait. Who is the center of attention on this set?
Well, that is the main. It's a very unique figure. Unless you had to have this, I don't think I would have had it come out. Like looking at it on the shelf, it's not at all worth it for $70 in 2012. No, it's an amazing set. It should have been at the 50 to 55 mark, though, for sure.
Now, what about today? The set itself, obviously we heard that most of the value is found in Queen Amidala. If I just wanted to buy Jar Jar's sub, what am I looking at for that now?
I mean, people will list it about 120. I think if you did enough looking, you could get just the vehicle for 50 to 70. If you wanted the other figures, you'd probably be looking at close to 100 for the whole thing, minus the Queen Amidala.
I gotta acknowledge something here. I feel like... So there's this show that comes on television, and it's the Antique Roadshow. where people bring in their item and some expert asks all these questions about the item. And I feel like I've turned into the Antique Roadshow guy. I'm so sorry about this, Micah. I feel like I'm the Antique Roadshow guy, and I found this in my mother's attic, and here it is, the Gungan Jar Jar Binks submarine.
Or the Gungan sub.
What do you think as far as being a model of Jar Jar's sub? I am not as versed in the second trio of Star Wars movies. This would have been featured in which movie?
Phantom Menace.
In the Phantom Menace. How does this capture the real Jar Jar Binks sub? Is it a good model of it?
It's decent. The shape of it is challenging with Lego bricks, so it's not surprising to hear it's not perfect. This should be completely flush. And these are supposed to have like blue framing on them, which they did get in the old model. They didn't get in this, actually. Overall, it's a very sturdy, hefty, and it captures it pretty well.
Yeah, overall, I feel they did a good job of the curvatures. There are some interesting gaps here that I think LEGO could have shored up a little bit because water's going to get in through those. But I think that with what they were working with and the elements that were available in 2012, they did a really good job with it. This sub came with what? How many minifigures did it come with?
4. Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Jar Jar and Queen Amidala. And surprisingly, since this Jar Jar figure came out in 2012, LEGO has yet to release a more updated version of him.
Because classic Jar Jar is the best Jar Jar.
It's a good set. It had good play value and hopefully would hold some good collector's value. Now, I was happy with it with the price that it cost, and I feel like while some of the figures could be improved in a re-release, I feel like this one, they nailed it, and that would be pretty much the same.
So this is it. This is the Star Wars Jar Jar Binks Queen Amidala Gungan submarine with twisty things on the end. I'm going to end this video on a high note today because Micah was just logged into his eBay account, and that Simpsons house that we told you guys about, that's right. We've got tracking information. So either another Lepin is on its way, or there's a Simpsons house review coming very, very soon. Micah, anything else you want to say about the submarine?
Well, I want to add to the story you told earlier. We get home from the hospital, and I'm trying to make sure the parts or open bags are all accounted for. And both Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn's heads were nowhere to be found.
So, some incomplete. As we were talking about in our last video, there is some risk when you're buying used Lego about parts not being in there or parts being inauthentic. Thankfully, the seller of this really took care of Micah. So he sent a message through eBay, explained to the seller those heads were missing, and that seller took care of it. He Venmo'd us some money that we could buy the replacement heads for the missing heads. So he really took care of us on that. So while there are some bad experiences on eBay, there's some amazing sellers out there as well. Well, I'm glad it's in the house now. You are our resident Star Wars guy, and you've got some really cool vintage sets that I would have seen on the shelves before you were even old enough to want to buy them. Evidently, when you were running around at 4 years old in diapers, this was on the shelves of Target or this long-lost store called Toys R Us, or wherever you would buy Lego from. So, this is the Jar Jar Binks submarine. Drop us a comment below if you have any questions about this set that Micah can help you answer.
What species is Jar Jar?
What species is Jar Jar? Jar Jar is a Gungan.
No, that's not what you called him earlier.
And with that, we need you to go out there and give more, do more, share more, and love more. And whatever you do, remember to always show your smile.
'Cause it's contagious!
Do more, share more, and love more. Give more, do more, share more.
I need to know where the Gungan...
You said it again! Are you serious? Are you serious? It's Gungan! It is Gungan!